Because my father's childhood sweetheart's daughter was accidentally burned, my father was angry and locked me in the firehouse where werewolf criminals were punished. The beta of the pack, my father, looked at me with disgust written all over his face. I don't have such a cruel daughter. You'll stay here and reflect on what you've done. I begged loudly for mercy, admitted my mistake, pleading for him to let me out. All I got in return was his merciless command, unless she's dead, no one is. To release her, the firehouse stood isolated at the edge of the territory. No matter how much I screamed for help, no one could hear me. He assigned the housekeeper to set the room to spray fire every 2 hours. The burns were excruciating, my werewolf healing barely keeping me alive between sessions. 10 days later, he finally remembered he had a daughter and decided to let me out. But what he didn't know was that I had already died in that firehouse, never to wake again, because my father's childhood sweetheart's daughter was accidentally burned. My father was angry and locked me in the firehouse where werewolf criminals were punished. He assigned the housekeeper to set the room to spray fire every 2 hours. The burns were excruciating, my werewolf healing barely keeping me alive between sessions. 10 days later, he finally remembered he had a daughter and decided to let me out. But what he didn't know was that I had already died in that firehouse, never to wake again. How is that rebellious she-wolf doing? Does she know she's wrong now? In the vast beta's villa, my father's question rang out like thunder on a clear day. The pack members nearby tensed visibly, their eyes lowered to avoid his gaze. The pack housekeeper answered tremblingly, her hands clasped tightly together. Sir, Miss Scarlet is still in the firehouse. My father's fingers, tapping impatiently on the mahogany armrest. His jaw clenched as he exhaled sharply. I've been too lenient with her all along. That's why she's become so lawless, daring to burn Amber using her gun. She needs to learn her lesson. The housekeeper still felt some compassion and said, her voice barely above a whisper, but the firehouse is used to punish werewolf criminals, and the fire inside is too intense. Even the strongest wolf will feel pain. Will Miss Scarlet? Pain? My father stood abruptly, causing the housekeeper to step back. That's exactly what she needs to feel. Let's see if she dares to treat Amber like that again. Only by experiencing the heat herself will she stop doing such things. His eyes flashed yellow, a sign of his wolf rising close to the surface. She is my daughter. I have the obligation to discipline her. My father's voice was cold, seemingly forgetting that I had already been locked in the firehouse for 10 days. The housekeeper wanted to say something more but was impatiently interrupted when my father slammed his fist against the wall. Enough. Do you think no one's been secretly closing the fire and bringing her healing herbs? She's fine. She won't die. Hearing this, I couldn't help but laugh, though no one could hear my voice because I was already dead. I had been dead for 5 days already. Since then, my spirit had been following my father, watching his cruelty and indifference. Thank you, Dad. Please don't be angry anymore. Let's free Scarlet now. The fire in the firehouse was too intense. She must be suffering terribly. From the bedroom. From what used to be my room, Amber emerged wearing a flowing cream dress, her blonde hair cascading down her shoulders. My father's eyes instantly softened, showing a tenderness I had never seen before. Sweet Amber, he murmured, all traces of anger vanishing from his face. Amber came downstairs and sat beside my father, her presence seeming to calm him instantly. She placed her hand over his, and he accepted the gesture with a smile. Forget about her, you're just too kind, he said, voice gentle now. She burned you on purpose with her toy gun, causing your wolf to become so weak now. She deserves to be punished. Amber's face showed concern. It might have been an accident. No, my father cut her off, his tone hardening again. I know my daughter. She was jealous of you, always has been. When speaking of me, my father's eyes were as cold as if he were talking about an enemy. But why? Wasn't I his daughter?